Hey y'all, it's me, Delores, the pastor's daughter. I put this video together that I never did play the other day on launch day. So I'm going to play it right now as we get started. And when you come in, if you could just like and share the video if you have not subscribed to my channel yet. Um, Go ahead and do that right now. Also, there is a link in the description box for my newest book. My actually it's my first book. So in it's the first in a series called The Pastor's Daughter memoir series, and the book is called Provoked. Let me pull it up real quick so you guys can see that. Look at that. There she is. So anyway, so yeah, there's a link to purchase the book. There's also a link to join my mailing list. So I know that a few people have been asking about the hard copy paperback version of the book, which will be out in about a month. So as long as you are subscribed to my mailing list, opt into my text messages, then you will be alerted when the paperback is ready. But so, I mean, as good news, now I can put the international bestseller insignia on there because we made international best-selling author on launch day, you guys. It's like we really did it. Like we really did that. But I wanted us to take a look back over the past year. Today is virtual launch day 3. And today, the title of today's broadcast is Breaking the Silence. And I just wanted to take a little flashback look at the previous year, the year when, well, actually, the date that I broke my silence and what kind of precipitated that action. So let's listen to a little bit of Chandrell. Excuse me. This is her song called Save Yourself. Um, it's one of the songs that I really like by her, and it was also featured on the show She's Gotta Have It. I met her when my husband and I went to the Birmingham Bowl at the beginning of this year, beginning of 2022. I met her, and she's just a sweet soul. So I just, want to promote her and just make sure that I'm, giving her flowers. She has an amazing voice. She has a similar background in the church and with her family being in ministry as well. And of course, she did, all the singing and stuff, similar to what I did. So when we talked, it was, it was kind of like, sisters. And so let me play her song and then we'll get started on this flashback of the past year of me breaking my silence. So here we go. And this is a song by Chandra.
Complex, blunt objects, short-term revelry. A gun for your rose, press knuckles for your nose, made a finger for your third degree.
Oh my gosh, y'all. I love that song. Like, I love it. And I think it's even more special that I was able to meet with her and, just kind of kick stories around between the two of us. But anyway, so y'all, look, I wanted to talk about the past year. Actually, my very first time going, breaking my silence, going public with a bit of my story. And see here, I have my Facebook screen pulled up. So this was the very first time. And it actually was, it came up in my memories. Don't y'all love how Facebook does memories? And I didn't even realize, y'all, that I was so messy. Look, I didn't even know I had actually tagged my father in this. Like, this is one of his alias Facebook pages. So I had I had actually tagged him in it. I probably tagged his other page too, knowing me. So messy. But anyway, so yeah, it's been a year, and I just thought it was really symbolic that the book came out, a year after me breaking my silence. So I just wanted us to go over that, and I want y'all to see what I wrote and why I wrote it, what kind of triggered that, the response that what kind of triggered me speaking out to begin with. And then I want us to look at the message that I got from my father that very same day. It was right after I posted this message. Now, you guys know I've talked about this before that my first cousin is Dietrich Haddon. He is a famous gospel artist, a pastor, and he's also a movie producer. Now he's a shoe creator or whatever. Like, he's doing his thing, and I'm super proud of him. Well, so Dietrich Haddon's mother and my father are brother and sister. And so this day, Dietrich Haddon and his wife, Dominique, which is right there, I tagged her in this post as well. But they did a live video, and this is it right here. I had to make two different posts because um, when people were leaving comments on the actual video, it was leaving the comments within my cousin's video. So it was like people responding to me, but the comments were being left on my cousin's video. So I created another post right here where I was asking people to reply to this particular message right here, so that I could I could respond to them and make sure that that they were leaving messages to me instead of on my cousin's page. But anyway, so this is it. And then after we go over that, then I want us to watch a bit of the video that my cousin posted, so that you guys know exactly what was happening during that time and why it triggered me to go ahead and break my silence this day. Obviously, it was something that, I feel like God must have wanted me to do because it really turned out to be a symbolic day and time frame, to be honest with you. So this is the post here. It says, excuse me, and I posted it on March 3rd, 2021. And this is it here. It says, have you guys ever had to cut ties with a toxic family member? Now, as you guys know now that it was my father that I was speaking about. And of course, I mentioned it down here, that I was speaking about my father, whatever. And, but I think that the main thing with me was just that it was my father, and it just, you don't really hear about that a whole lot, because even though people talk about, toxic childhoods and having a toxic parent and stuff like that, rarely do you actually hear or see people that have actually cut their parents off. And so I feel like, that was probably something that people needed to see and hear, because I knew that I couldn't possibly be the only one who was going through these issues. And so I was asking, everybody else, my, subscribers and friends or whatever, have you guys ever had to cut off a toxic family member? And then I said, I've had to cut ties with, hold on, I'll highlight it so you guys can see it better. I've had to cut ties with a very close family member that was extremely toxic and making me physically sick. Now, you guys know that over the past year, I have talked extensively about my sicknesses and how I feel like my father triggered it. And so I felt like I really just needed to get away from him. Like it was like he's so toxic, and being around him is so toxic that it was literally making me physically sick, y'all. I'm telling you, like I would be in in the sermon, like in the service, and while my father was preaching, delivering his sermon, I would be having panic attacks because I could hear how he was like berating the members, how he was threatening people, um, how he would share information that was private, that they told him in confidence, and then he preached about it, and it was stuff like that. And it's because we had a small church, everybody knew who he was talking about. It wasn't like it was, some big secret. When it's just a few people in there anyway, it's like it's not hard to narrow down who he's talking about. But that's part of his, that's part of his tactic. He does that to people. And it's kind of crazy because while people think that, I've kind of been treating him wrong and kind of hard on him, on my father, you have to understand that I'm not doing anything that he has not done to people um, throughout his lifetime, and things that I've witnessed him doing to people. So let me go on to the next sentence here. I've been trying to get up the nerve to post a video about my experience. But to be honest, I'm scared. Y'all, that was when I tell y'all I meant that, like I meant that with everything. But see, not only was I afraid of my father's retaliation against me, I really was more afraid of his retaliation against my mother. And you have to realize that once I told on him for physically abusing us when I was 13 years old, I feel like his abuse in other areas like emotional and spiritual abuse and psychological abuse, stuff like that, intensified. But I feel like it also did for my mother. And in a lot of ways, the issues that he had with us kids, he took it out on my mother. And, she was kind of like the, I don't know, maybe like the scapegoat at some point. But anyway, so I was really scared for her. So speaking out, meant that I had to consider everybody who was in proximity to my father, everybody who could possibly be punished because of what I was doing. And so then I went on to talk about how I was able to get up the strength that day to finally speak out. And what happened was my cousin, Dietrich Haddon, and his wife did a live video together where they were talking about some events that had happened just prior to them doing that video. And then they went into a discussion about toxic family members. Now, I said, I said here, now I don't know if they were talking about the same family member. I don't know if they were talking about my father. I mean, it's totally possible because my father used to be very angry with Dietrich Haddon for not asking him to be on the show Preachers of LA. And I talk about this in the book, you guys. So you guys know my book is out on Kindle right now. And then I told you guys before that the paperback will be out in about a month. So make sure that you join my mailing list so that you'll get notified as soon as it's available. But anyway, so I talk about this in the book that my father was very angry with Dietrich Haddon over that. But it just really didn't make much sense because, first of all, we don't even live in LA. You know what I'm saying? So it was like my father does not preach in LA, nor does he even have like the following. He doesn't have a mega church like the other people, the other pastors that were featured in that show. And so it just really didn't make much sense. But his anger towards the Haddon family didn't really make much sense to me growing up anyway. Now, Dietrich Haddon's father is supposedly he's a He's a bishop. I want to say, yeah, Bishop Haddon. He is a bishop in Detroit. And supposedly, Dietrich Haddon's father, and my father used to be like clashing back in the day. And supposedly, Dietrich Haddon's father tried to kill my father. And so that's why we had to leave Detroit. And that's why it was like, we're kind of running for our lives. All that's in the book, you guys. So, you get more details there. Well, you get some more details there. But anyway, so I don't know for sure that he was talking about my father here, but the way he was describing the situation is like totally, it could totally have been my father at the time. But I mean, it was really irrelevant which one he was talking about. So I didn't really, inquire about that at all. But anyway, so then I said that their transparency over the years, especially in this video, is giving me courage to tell my story. Now, you guys already know that Dietrich Haddon and really his wife too had, their own scandals to deal with, over their union and how their relationship came about. Now, one thing I do know that is that a lot of church people, first of all, judged him harshly for it, which, rightfully so. But what I thought was a good thing about the situation is that he took time he stepped down, took time to reflect on what he had done, what had happened, and as far as I know, pretty much came clean about it. So, which is much more than I can say about my father. I've been speaking out for over a year now, and my father still has not made any type of like really any type of statement really saying really speaking truth to the issues that I have brought up, you know and specifically he has not made any type of definitive statement about my allegations that he has attempted to kill my mother. um, and so I was very afraid to like speak out because of that reason. And then I said here, one day soon, I'll push through fear and open up about my life as the daughter of a narcissistic pastor who was abusing the church members just about as much as he abused his wife and 5 kids. Wow. Yeah. And so this is what I was seeing. I was seeing the abusive treatment, the spiritual abuse that my father was inflicting on the members. And he had a purpose, he had a reason, he had a goal that he was trying to reach. Now, my father both felt like the church was his way of achieving his own personal dreams and goals, right? But he also felt like we, the members that he had, were standing in his way of achieving his own personal goals and dreams, right? um, and mainly because that's not what the church is for. The church is not for a man to come in and think, well, this is the way that I'm going to make all my dreams come true. This is how I'm going to elevate myself. This is how I'm going to be great. This is how I'm going to prove that I am the man I am, and that I'm great. And we were just like, no, if it's not for God, if it's not for building the kingdom, then we're definitely not for it. Now, as we move forward, I'm going to show you guys, and I've given you a little bit of a hint so far about the building that my father wanted, that he actually owns now, but he can't do anything with it. Um, but anyway, so that's what he wanted. He wanted to be able to have that, that same sense of fame that the Haddon family has in Detroit, which is, his older sister and her husband. And then Dietrich Haddon is the offspring from that family. So, but he wants the exact same thing that they have. He wants a big church. He wants a huge following. He wants the fame. He wants the money. He wants the recognition. He wants the respect, the power. And he saw us, his church, as a way of getting there, but also as the people who were standing in his way. And that made him angry. That made him rage. And so every message that he gave, every time that he interacted with the members of his church, there was some animosity, some disdain, some tension, because we were in his eyes standing in his way of achieving his dream of, being this great pastor, with a big church and a big following and money and cars and, you know, and all the glitz and glam that comes with that status. And so here, I was actually 39 years old when I left the church. And so that's why I wrote 39 here, even though at the time I wrote this post, I was already 40. Yeah, I was already 40 years old then. And I'm 41 now. So then it says, after 39 years of keeping his secrets, living this facade, enduring the spiritual abuse, manipulation, and control, I walked away from my father and his church. I'm done. And you guys know I have not been in a church since. So one time I went after service was over, to a different church because someone was getting baptized and they asked me to come. And it was only because I truly love this person and I truly, respect this person that I even stepped foot in a church again. And so, yeah, that's what happened. I have been like somewhat jaded, and I have to admit that the response that I have, or the lack of response that I have gotten from church people and from my own family who is heavily involved in the church, like my father's, that whole side of the family is, they're all ministers, gospel artists, preachers, pastors, bishops, prophetess, prophets, all that stuff. And so, in my mind, I'm just like, okay, that's fine that I've walked away from my father and his church, but what about the rest of the family and their churches? And why isn't anybody really reaching out to me in in a way that offers encouragement and understanding? And so that's why I just haven't been back in a church, because I'm really just sitting back and observing who, like, what churches are right, what preachers are actually real. And right now, I'm just not seeing it. I'm just not seeing it. But anyway, that's not what this is about. So here I put, I feel like I've been in isolation for the past 2 years, trying to process the complexities of the evils that were very much alive and active in my father's heart. Now, I was in isolation because you guys know that I had a ton of recordings that I took when I was still at the church and still in relationship with my father. And so throughout that time, I was trying to process, the things that I had heard, the things that I had witnessed. I was going to counseling heavily, which I still am. You guys know I go every 8 weeks. Um, and if something, happens where I need to get in sooner and I need to talk, then I'll do that too. There is absolutely no shame in counseling and therapy and doing all that. So I've been, I was in isolation and I was writing. I was researching, I was taking classes. I took 2 classes from Dr. Ramani, including a class that was for counselors and people who are um, in these professions, for life coaches and stuff like that. So I even received a certificate from that class. I've also taken classes from Lisa Nichols and how to speak, how to deliver a clear message so that you guys don't get caught up in, so just so like my message doesn't get um, diluted and it doesn't get distorted by emotion, because I'm still very much a part of the situation. And I, was realizing early on that because I was still so emotionally involved in the situation, that my communications weren't necessarily coming off clearly. And that, people were really kind of thinking that, I was just really angry. And of course I was, but I didn't want my anger to cloud the true issues that were there. That my father is a narcissistic pastor who has abused his family and the congregation for decades. And so, yeah, like, heck yeah, I'm angry. But that doesn't mean that the message itself is null and void, that it's a moot point. It doesn't mean that it doesn't matter. It just means that you kind of have to, you know, get past the emotional parts of my message and look at things deeper. And so I didn't want anyone getting that confused. And so I started taking classes, taking classes on how to write. And I was with a writing coach and, just all of that stuff just to, because this message is very important. And I realized that, and I don't take it lightly. And so I was making sure that I did everything I could to get this message out to the world clearly, concisely, and where it actually brings value and helps people. So then I said, but now it's time to speak up about it, which I have. I have not, ever since the silence was broken, I have been speaking it out. I have been basically, I have several channels, YouTube, Facebook, two on Facebook, and Instagram. I've been posting a little bit on Twitter, just stuff like that, just to make sure that I get this message out. Then I said, here, we have to come to terms with the fact that the church is overrun by spiritual narcissists or religious narcissists. And that's just a fact of the matter. And you can see that over this past year, since I have been speaking out, how many pastors, how many people in the ministry, including my own family, has actually spoken up about this. Even my father's own bishop, who is his brother, will not publicly rebuke him for what he has done. Why is that? I mean, Beatrice, like, people from in the ministry from the beginning of time has spoken out, but why will they not speak out now? Is it a nepotism thing? Is it because of the relationship that they have? And if that's the case, then how does that make for a successful church leadership? How? And that was, that's been a thing. And so I have to assume, and I think it's a healthy assumption because of the way that the church is structured, that it's really easy for these people to come in and elevate themselves and really wreak havoc on people, unsuspecting people who are just trying to get their lives together. And to be honest with you guys, that pisses me off. It pisses me off. And I don't care if it's my own father who's doing it. He's wrong. You know what I'm saying? He's wrong. And just because he's my father doesn't mean that I have to sit there and watch it and be a party to it or be an accomplice to it. And so I refused. And then I, received the backlash from it, And then it says they are wreaking havoc and murdering the souls of the people they encounter. There are people who will not step foot back in the church again, period. And I just don't think that I'm not like anti-church, like I really believe in church. And to be honest with you, I'm like still angry that, that my viewpoint of church has been tainted so. And I look forward to the day that these issues are fixed, and that people are healed and that people come back together in this fellowship environment and, where we can really empower and encourage each other and really be there for each other. I mean, where else did we really have that? It's like, where else did we really have that togetherness and that camaraderie and the closeness and just just the thought that we weren't alone, that we had someone, at least one other person in the congregation who understood, or that we could talk to, or that we were friends with, or that we could connect on that soul level. And I just really feel like um, I want to get back to that. I want to get back to that. It just can't be the way it was. It can never be the way it was. I'll never go back into a church with the structure and the beliefs and the way we elevated narcissistic, and mostly it's narcissistic men, because church people do not have this same grace for women in ministry. They just don't. I mean, let's just be honest. They don't have it in any area of our lives, and they definitely don't have it in ministry. Had my mother or anyone other female in ministry done the things that my father did, they would have already been burned at the stake. I mean, really, they would have. But because it's a man, and a black man specifically, he's able to get away with the things that he's done. He's able to still stand there even though his wife has left him. Now imagine if this was the other way around and there was a woman in the pulpit, her husband left her, and then her kids complained about the abuse that they inflicted and that they witnessed up until the day they left the church. There would be no way that she'd still have church. There'd be no way that she'd still be up there. I mean, really, it's just a fact of the matter. But because it's a man, and a black man at that, we believe that we'll excuse it. And it's just crazy to me. So there was this is what I posted, right? And I told you guys this was the original video here. We're not gonna watch all of it. We're just gonna watch a piece of it. But I wanted to show you guys the text message that my father sent me that day after I posted that message on Facebook. So let me do a quick screen share of that message. Okay. Okay, here we go. Look. And yes, I do have my father's number saved as don't answer. Because, y'all, y'all gonna learn something about me, honey. Hey, Tara. Hey. Okay, she said, I need to leave to find my peace and heal from toxic family members. Basically, all my life on both sides, I felt like I was beginning to strongly dislike them. Girl, ain't that the truth? And when you start looking at them sideways, y'all saw that, real strong side eye I gave on the on the book cover. Look, y'all see that side? Y'all see that strong side eye? And when you start looking at your family members like that, like, what are you doing? Like really? Like, look, caption that look though. Caption that side eye. But seriously, it's like that. You just find yourself like, ugh, like I just wish they weren't my family. They are terrible. Like, do we really come from the same family? We couldn't possibly. But anyway, so this is the message that my father sent me. Now, y'all see this message up here. I'm in the VA hospital. And of course I didn't even respond to that. And I cut off the date, but it was before this date. But in my mind, I'm just like, okay, first of all, if you're in the hospital, just be in the hospital. Just be concerned about yourself. And that was that was a way of trying to suck me back in, of course. You know how they do. I told you guys that all narcissists, I really believe this, that all narcissists at some point faked a heart attack. They did. And of course, in my mind, I'm just like, you do not have a heart to be attacked. So we know you didn't have a heart attack, sir. But so yeah, this was another one of those instances. And so I didn't even respond to my father saying that he had that he was in the hospital. It's like, okay, well, just let me know when you're dead. As mean as that is, that's how I truly feel. And so, I'm okay with like admitting how I truly feel now. I've had over the past year, I have had to come um to become comfortable with that. So now I am. Okay, and then he says, when you were a baby, now remember, you guys, this is in response to me speaking out about, about the abuse and this spiritual abuse and stuff he was inflicting um, all my life. So this was his response to me. When you were a baby, I wanted to name you Precious. Oh, Lord Jesus. Okay. The reason why I wanted to name you Precious is because when I saw you, you were the most precious thing I had ever seen. Okay, first of all, I don't believe none of that. Okay. I don't believe none of that. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is what you would call love bombing. Okay. The next part says, out of everybody that I miss you most of all. And really, you guys, the only reason he said that is because he knows that I'm the one who won't shut up. He knows that I'm the one who's going to speak out against him. That's why he feels the need to try to pull me back in. That's why he's love bombing me. Because he's like, hold on now. You're precious. You're so precious. I wanted to name you Precious. Okay, whatever. Um, and then he says, I'm not looking for your mother. Now, you guys, if someone says, okay, why would he even say that unless he was looking for my mother? Really? Sometimes when people make a declaration of what they're not doing or what sometimes it's because they have truly, or they're really truly doing it, or they have done it. No, like, where in my message did I even say that he was trying to look for her? It's an admission. And that's the thing that you'll notice is that when you actually let a person talk, they will tell on themselves. And sometimes you actually have to like do these line by line analysis of what people say, especially these toxic, manipulative people and violent people. Okay? Because let's not forget that. My father is violent. I'm not trying to look for your mother. Um, yes, you are. And you guys have seen over the past year or so that I've been talking about this. He actually went looking for my mother. And then he says, I don't want to use you to see her. Which means what, you guys? He wants to use me to see her. That this is these two lines here are an admission. They're an admission. And then he says, you are still one of the most precious precious people God has ever put into my life. Now, so if you truly believe that, then why did you abuse me? Right? I mean, does it make sense for someone to see you as a baby and supposedly have these thoughts, oh, you're so precious, you're the most precious, I miss you so much, you miss you the most, and God put you in my life and all of that, but you still abuse that person? How? Like, how do you make sense of that? How do you rationalize that in your mind? How? And then he goes on to say, I know you resent whatever. I know you resent, what he meant was, I know you resent being dark. Y'all, why? What does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with the claims of spiritual abuse, of physical abuse, um, of toxicity, of narcissism? What does that have to do with anything? And see, what's crazy is that this is a dig. And see, I don't think that, it takes this type of analysis in order to see that this is a dig. This is a this is a way of my father trying to take a hit at my self-esteem, because we know that colorism is a very big thing in the Black community. What was the point of mentioning my skin tone in this message? What does that have to do with anything? And I don't even recall resenting being dark. And I don't even really think I'm dark. But either way, who cares? Clearly, if I resented being dark, it's a complex that my father gave me. It's a complex that my father gave me. I know you resent being dark, but that's what makes me love you even more. You dark and beautiful at the same time. If that is not a microaggression, a colorist remark, like seriously, y'all. But these are the tactics of someone who is highly manipulative. First of all, he tries to love bomb me. You're so precious. I wanted to name you Precious because you were the most precious thing I had ever seen. Yet, you abused me. Yet, you took my precious leg and slammed it in a car door. Do y'all see this? But see, these are the things that a lot of people won't, they won't connect the dots. This is the dissonance of it all. Because while there's this man who is, my father, who is love bombing me and talking about how the very first time he laid eyes on me, I was just so precious that he wanted to name me that. But yet he could inflict so much abuse and violence on me and the people that I love, the people that he was closest to, the people that he created, that he helped to create. Then he goes off and takes this turn, right? I'm not looking for your mother. I don't want to use you to see her, which is exactly what he's trying to do, which is exactly why he's love bombing me, which is exactly why he takes a dig at colorism. See, y'all gotta be up on these tactics, because they use these tactics like you think about it. My father is doing this to me, but how much have you seen this within our communities all the time? There's this whole thing about colorism now. It's very much an issue right now. And I'm 40 years old, 41 years old. And my father is still he's using this tactic on me. My father. Think about the people that, the generations that come after him. And he has this belief in how those beliefs have gone from generation to generation. There is a parallel. There is a strong parallel. And then he says, you're dark and beautiful at the same time. As if those two can't exist, but I'm an anomaly because the both of them exist in me at the same time. Do y'all see the colorism in it? Okay, then he says, you got a father that loves you and always will. Okay. Well, see, here's the thing. The love that my father displayed was not the love that I wanted. It didn't translate to love to me. Therefore, I don't want it. So the fact that he's telling me that he loves me and always will does nothing for me. Because there was a man who showed something different. And not all the time now. So just remember that this was not an all the time thing, which also is what makes it confusing to a lot of people, that someone who is abusive and like this, they're not like this all the time. If they were like that all the time, then there's no way that any of us would have stayed as long. They do this, like they give it to you in doses. And so that way, by the time you get the next dose, that previous dose is kind of like weakened and maybe gotten out of your system a little bit. Maybe they've done something to kind of like counteract that dose they gave you. Maybe apologize, maybe love bomb you, tell you you're the most precious thing that they've ever seen. And then the next thing you know, they're saying, well, you dark and beautiful at the same time. You know, it's just like, oh, it just doesn't make sense. Okay, and then he says, if you ever see me, please know that my love is real and that you are welcome to come and talk to me. No, thank you. I'm good. Next line. Me and Cynthia have been legally separated before, and I have done nothing to ask her to come home. That's not true. That's just simply not true. They have been separated before, that is true. But he has done more than ask my mother to come home. He has threatened her numerous times. The last time, before this time that they broke up, the last time he told her that she was going to wake up burning. He said all of us would. And what does that mean? He's going to set us on fire? He's going to set the house on fire with all of us in it, including his grandson, which I had at the time. I had my oldest son at the time, and he was living in the house too. And so when my parents broke up, this is what my father was saying. So out of her safety and safety for us, my mother allowed him back. So this is just not true. That I have done nothing but ask her to come home. That's just not true. You can't threaten and coerce a person and then say, well, I just asked her to come back. With a whole lot of force and a whole lot of threats and a whole lot of coercion in there too, right? And then he said, I am still the same man with Chris. Yeah, I cannot do. I'm still the same man with, I'm sure he meant Christ, but the simple fact that he put Chris, is that what you call your devil? But anyway, I am still the same man with Christ down on the inside, loving my family. Well, if you're still the same man, and that's the man that I walked away from, that I'm definitely not coming back. You know what I'm saying? It's it's like the common sense of it all is totally escapes him at this moment. And then he says, I'm sorry for any hurt that I may have caused you. Oh my God, y'all, that is not an apology. That is not an apology. I'm sorry for any hurt that I may have. May have? May have? Like, really though? That you may have caused. No, you should be sorry for the hurt that you caused. Ain't no may have about it. Next line. Every day and every night, I thank God for giving me all of you in my life. Every day and every night, I thank God for giving me all of you in my life. But you guys have heard the recording where he was saying F all of us, right? F everybody. So when exactly is he thanking God for us? In between cussing us? I mean, is that when the thank yous go out? Is that when the thank yous go out? Hold on, you guys. I'm sorry. This caption is covering it up. Let me remove that so you can see it better. Hold on. I don't even know if I can I? Let me try something real quick. Is that better? Okay, yeah. Okay, so y'all can see the whole thing now. Okay. All right. So this, like I was saying, I was reading these last couple of lines here. Every day and every night, I thank God for giving me all of you in my life. And it just is like a really weird way of showing it, and Yeah, I don't believe that, of course. And then he says, "Your father is crazy about you and the whole family." Really, I feel like he should have just said, "Your father is crazy," and then just put a period right there. Like, put a period right there. Okay. Your father is crazy. And it just left it at that. I should have just left it right there because that's where the period belonged. Actually, exclamation point. But anyway, so that was my father's response. And it was really just a whole gaslight for real, you know? And it was like some love bombing in there, some microaggressions in there, some straight lies like, I'm not looking for your mother. I don't want to use you to see her. Like we don't believe that. We don't believe that at all. But so that was my father's response to me speaking out against the. Hold on, let me show you guys the original message again, so y'all know what he was responding to. Where am I going here? So back to the original message. It's right here. When I said I had to cut ties with a very close family member that was extremely toxic and making me physically sick. Now, so why didn't he make any mention of that? There was no mention of that in this text message. Instead, he's talking about my skin tone. He's talking about how precious I was when I was born. I mean, like, come on. I'm sorry for any hurt I may have caused. Y'all, please. But so let's get into just a little bit of this video. It's already nearing an hour. It's like 5 minutes to an hour since I've been on live. So let me just play a little bit of this video that
Saints can't see you now. They all complain.
This isn't giving an echo too.
And that's going to accommodate you. I know that a lot of people. I mean, I can point out an issue about you when it happened back years ago.
Let me know if y'all can hear that and that it's not giving an echo or whatever.
So that was rough within itself. You know, first person in our church that we've lost to COVID. I know a lot of people have lost a lot of loved ones. I was talking to Byron Cage. He said he lost 11 family members to COVID. That's crazy, man. You lost 11 family members to COVID-19.
I heard a whole bunch of people in my family had COVID. I mean,
I would say that did good. Hey, Joyce, y'all, you should have been there when you were at work. Most of everybody was at work.
I was tech support. I was over there managing.
The guy, let me tell you what happened. No, I don't even. We can get off this subject. Let's get off.
I was managing the Zoom. I was helping the family. I was
the security guard want to come turn the mic down while I'm preaching. He come up. I'm gonna turn this mic down.
You don't have to
too loud. Listen.
If you
listen,
have
brother.
To go, if you don't have to go to the McCain, please don't. Yes, I'm saying.
Oh no.
I'm gonna say that because that's what I told you I don't want to get on there because you want to nudge me. You do not want to go there. You want to go to somebody that's going to accommodate you. I know that a lot of people have passed and they're probably exhausted.
They say, yeah, we're going to get y'all out of the way.
But you cannot mishandle people because at the end of the day, they paying you.
Amen.
They paying you.
And I had a word and you got some demon security guard that want to be the sound man too. Come right in the middle of my message. So I told him, sir, don't turn the mic down. It's good where it is. Oh, we ain't ready. I said, I'm dealing with a demon right here. I won't be able to preach. I got to cast the devil out of him. The first demon casting out, the first exorcist at somebody's homegoing service.
Listen, but
exorcism, rather.
Cookie would have told him off too.
Listen, Cookie would have went clean on. Jesus said when they brought Mary and I want to talk about something real quick.
Here we go.
I want to talk about family stuff, right?
Get into it, because
Because we realize now, I realize why Jesus said, I was preaching about it Sunday. I realize why Jesus said when they brought Mary and his brother to Jesus and said, your brother and your mother are out there. He said, listen, I'm not, I don't have time for that. He said, you are my mother and my brother. Anybody else have sibling issues? Family issues?
Yes.
I had an 8-hour conversation with my family, and it was absolutely fruitless. Fruitless. It had nothing. After all those hours of travailing over stuff, it went absolutely nowhere. Just absolutely nowhere. And my conclusion is, I don't even want to go back to the past because it's fruitless. I don't even want to talk about it because if you still maintain the mindset that you had when it happened back years ago, and you still maintain the same mindset, and ain't nothing changed, nothing's gonna ever change. That's the way that person is. Period. And you'll get so frustrated trying to get them to change their mindset to think the way you think,
Mm-hmm.
and they're just not gonna do it because that's the way they believe.
Another thing.
See, when he said that right there, y'all, it already hit me. I was like, oh, Lord. Because, see, like, we could have, I mean, just like hours long conversations. And when you guys read the book, you'll see that, when I was leaving the church and my father tried to get me to stay, the things that he was saying to me, it's just like, you just realize like he's kind of like circular conversations, or it's a lot of baiting where he was trying to get me, like trying to provoke me to say or to get into a debate with him, or it was just really weird. But you just know that with some people, it's just no point. It's just no point of even having a conversation because we could talk for hours and hours and hours, and it just will never get to a place where anything is resolved, or that there's an understanding or anything. It's really just a way of them manipulating you, of using this word salad to try to confuse you into a conversation. And by the time they get through saying all that they're saying, it's like, okay, this doesn't even have anything to do with the original issue that I brought up. It's just like you've gone all over the world to talk about something just to confuse me, and confuse this conversation. That it just doesn't even, it's like, what was the original thing? It just doesn't even make sense. But that's how people will do you. Let's continue.
Huh?
You got another thing?
You know what I'm saying? Just like it's hard to change your mind too. So it's like everybody, it's a bottomless pit of nothingness going back to the past. I say move forward in love and in wisdom and do better. Be mature and do better than you did before. Period. Because going back to the past, sometimes it just stir up the same feelings and emotions you had, and it reminds you of why you don't like them. It reminds you of why you don't fool with people.
Right.
And that's what you don't want. You want to move forward. You want to move forward and in love. And sometimes you don't get what happens when you don't get the closure that you're looking for by going in the past. What happens when you try to communicate your heart with an individual and they still don't get it after years later? They still don't get it.
So y'all see, right? Y'all see how this, like, it triggered this response in me to like go ahead and just break the silence. And then what I noticed, like, over the next year, which brings us to today, is that there is still no change. That it's just there is no progress to be made in certain relationships. Like certain relationships, you just can't. There's just nothing salvageable about them. There's just nothing you can do. And that's what the relationship was like with my father. And then not only that, but when you try to have a conversation about the issues that are there, it's this this way of manipulating, like he did, talking about my skin tone or talking about when I was born, and it's just like, okay, but what does that have to do with any of the issue? What does that have to do with you spiritually abusing the members, you trying to kill my mother? What does that have to do with anything? And so that's how people try to manipulate you. And that's why you realize that, look, there's nothing salvageable about this relationship. We cannot move forward because this person does not have an interest in moving forward. They just have an interest in tricking you and manipulating you and gaslighting you and trying to love bomb you instead of just admitting their wrongs.
So now you stirred up again, as if it just happened. Whatever the situation, you stirred up again, and you upset, and you angry, you mad, you cussing and fussing, and it's got you looking crazy. When I say I don't even want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about the past. I understood it happened. It was wrong. Whatever, you don't think it was wrong. I think it was wrong. You think I was wrong. I think you were wrong. It's like, where's the conclusion?
And see, here was another thing that really stuck out with me is that, my father has a lot of blame, a lot of blame to go around, right? But the thing is that he's blaming his children for his behavior, which doesn't really add up, because like, he's a grown man, so we were his children. So how exactly do you justify that? So it's like with him saying, with Dietrich saying that, there's this circular argument. It's like, okay, you think I think you were wrong, you don't think you were wrong, it's that whole thing. That's when you'll find people who say, well, I'm sorry for if I did this or that. I'm sorry if I may have, or whatever. It's not a full apology. It's like a pacifier almost. They just tell you that just to shut you up, but there's actually no progress being made in the argument or in the actual issues that are there.
There's the solution. I'm just talking for me. For me, the conclusion is, or the closure is, understanding who they are and accepting who they are. And that's the way it's going to be. Because sometimes trying to change people or get them to think the way you think, that's a hard thing to do. That's a hard thing to do. And you'll be walking around upset all over again, upset at your siblings or whoever it is you're upset with, your mother, your father, because they still don't see it the way you see it. So I was telling my family, I said, listen, let's not even go down there. And let's go ahead and just move on. Because, everybody, it's hard to have conversations with people, watch this, that want to play the victim and want to exonerate themselves from their part in the problem.
And see, that's what I was just saying, is that my father was blaming us. Like, my mother got shot, I don't know, I guess I was probably like 5 years old, maybe, something like that, right? But my father uses that incident as valid as his excuse for inflicting violence on us for like years and years after the shooting even happened. And it wasn't even us who shot her. It was something that my father was into. But you see how there's just no solution in certain relationships, like in certain conversations in relationship with certain types of people, with toxic manipulative people. They never admit that they were wrong. They never actually work towards a solution to the issues that exist. What they're trying to do is shut you up, to move on, to have their way without ever making any changes or actually admitting what they did.
Y'all ain't saying nothing now. Y'all mighty quiet. Y'all looking at me, but you ain't saying a word. Y'all looking at me. I just said something. I said, I just said something, but I can tell they don't want to deal with it. Look at them. Y'all don't want to deal with that. Y'all don't want to deal with that. I said, it's hard having a conversation with somebody that want to play the victim.
Yep.
Oh, it's me. You did this to me, and you did this to me, and you did that, and you did that, and what about this, and what about that? But for everything you talking about with me, everything you pointing out about me, I can point out an issue about you. You don't want to talk about your part that you played in the matter.
And that's where, me and my father had our major falling out. It's because he is trying to blame everyone else for everything that has ever happened in his life. But it's his life. It's his life. And then not only that, but everything that he blames on us, which is his kids, really just falls back on him. And especially because, like, you guys know early on that my father tried to discredit me. And tried to over this last year, since I started speaking out, he has tried to discredit me. But my main argument is that everything that you say about me just reflects back to you because I'm your daughter. Like, you raised me. So it's like, well, like, how can you really talk about me when the issues that I have are daddy issues, they stem from you? So it's it's the circular argument that he can't win, but he still tries to. And how does he try? By, using these guilt tactics, or these shaming tactics, or strong arm tactics, or love bombing, or hoovering, and just all the weird narcissistic terms and tactics that they use. My father used every last one and probably made up some of his own. Let's continue.
You want to exonerate yourself from the problems. I mean, what you added to the situation, and want to play victim.
That was another thing I wanted to say, was that my father uses religion as his alibi, as his tool, right? So what he does is, whenever he's being attacked or whenever something doesn't go right, it's always like the devil. The devil is doing it. This is Satan is moving, or whatever. It's always this victim role. Either he's going to be a victim of society or a victim of the devil. It's just like, it's always going to be some other reason why he is not successful, or why things aren't going his way, other than him being the actual reason why.
And you want to spend all the time telling me what I didn't do or what I did. But the minute that I bring up what you did, is, oh, that ain't made that. That didn't happen like that. Oh, I didn't know. Oh. No. Since y'all want to go down memory lane, for everything that you got, I got 10 things, 10 issues. For every one issue you got with me, I got 10. The only difference is I care not to drag you down that road because it's the past.
That's the unresolved issue.
Y'all.
And see, that's where we stood. Like, my father tries to make it seem like I am holding childhood issues against him, and that I'm still bitter about how he treated me growing up, when it's just really not the case. What has happened is those issues that we had, that I had with him growing up, just came back to the surface once I realized what he was doing. Once that revelation came, I saw what he was doing, but I really could not put a finger on it. I was just like, this isn't right. This is crazy. And then just like over time of like observing and recording and all of that stuff and studying, I was just like, no, this is craziness.
You're saying that, Patsy, unresolved issues. What if this is what I'm saying, Patsy? I'm saying, what if there is no resolve?
Right.
What if you can't get what you're looking for from that individual? That's what I'm asking, Patsy. What if you cannot get what you are searching for from that individual.
What are you searching for? Understanding.
Sometimes the understanding is understanding they are the way they are.
Yep.
They do what they do.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
That's it. Move forward. That's why the Bible tells us. I didn't mean to go Bible on y'all. I just want to have a regular conversation. Bible class is on Thursday. Today I wanted to have a transparent conversation. But that's why the Bible says, okay, forgetting those things which are bad, leave it alone. Forget about it. Happened. It's over. That's it.
But usually,
now, if you need to go back there for your own peace of mind, that's fine. If you have somebody that's willing to go down that path with you, but don't get upset. This is what I'm trying to tell somebody. Don't get all messed up if you don't get what you're looking for. That's what I'm saying. What'd you say, Matt? Patsy said, move on, move forward. Yes. Some of us.
See, here's the thing, though, is that this is what I feel like a lot of, especially Christians, this is the point that I feel like they miss. And I say they because, I don't really claim to be a Christian anymore, because of all of this. But I think that what the average, I guess, Christian usually misses is that they think that this whole move on and move forward means that you're moving on with that person in relationship or in communication with that person, or moving forward and saying that we're just going to leave what issues we had in the past behind us and that we're just going to move forward with the relationship. And that, I feel like, is where a lot of us go wrong. Moving on and moving forward does not mean that you stay in communication or in relationship with a toxic person who you are not getting any type of you're not getting any type of an apology or any type of understanding or any type of anything from. If there's really nothing salvageable or valuable about that relationship, then there's really no need to move on with that person and move forward with that person. You should probably move on and move forward by yourself and get rid of that person. But I think that that's where a lot of us go wrong, is that we're thinking, okay, well, we're just going to move on, move forward and continue our relationship. But you have to realize that these toxic people don't change. Sometimes they just get smarter, which may look like a change, but it's really the same behavior, but in a more calculated and more sinister and a smarter way.
Are 50, 60, 70, 80 years old, still upset at your siblings from stuff that happened way back when. I'm too old to be talking about all what happened back then. 47. I'm just telling you, I'm too at that age. I don't have time.
Can I play the devil's advocate or the other perspective? I'm saying devil's advocate. The other perspective. What if?
I'm glad she changed that, because I just really don't like when people say playing devil's advocate, and I guess that's because I just feel like the devil doesn't need an advocate, so let's just not play that role. But you can definitely, think of things like in a different perspective, from a different viewpoint, a different worldview, because we all have different viewpoints and perspectives on things, and it's the right thing to do to consider other sides of a situation.
I'm not looking for closure. What if I'm not looking for resolve? I just want you to hear my heart. I want to share with you the things that I have felt like I've dealt with to get, just so you can know where I am. How do you handle that? You tell it, move on.
And see, I'm gonna end the video here. Well, in this video here, because I feel like that's where I am now in the process. I feel like I have reached the point where I want to be heard. And so that's, my main purpose right now. That's my mission right now at this particular phase of the process. And so with the book being out now, this first book of the series, this book focuses on mine and my father's relationship, more so than my father's relationship with other people. And then, what I've observed from him and how it has impacted us in our relationship. Um, so, and that's where I am in the process now, is I want to be heard. And not that I necessarily want my father to hear me, but I want you guys to hear me. I want you guys um to like feel what's in my heart, and to know what's there, and how I've processed this, and how, I've looked at this from a daughter's perspective. And I say, from a daughter's perspective, because, I feel like it was that role that made me different from my other siblings. I have four brothers and I'm the only girl. But it was that role that made me different. And I believe that it's that role that makes all of us different. All of us, women, girls, ladies, it makes us all different, um, from men. Honestly, from men. Because there is an expectation for daughters. There is I don't know, it's just this role that we're in as daughters that just, I don't know, it just means something different. It just means something different. And I'm still trying to process what it all means. As I'm coming into, um, as I'm really just coming into my own, after cutting off my father and doing all that, it just seems like I'm coming into this role and just realizing my strength as a daughter. Um, But anyway, so yeah, that's where I am now, where Dominique ended, where Dominique had her comment about, well, what if, you're not looking for closure? What if you're just wanting to express yourself and just, say what's on your heart? And that's where I am now. I'm at the point where I want you all to know what's in my heart. And so that's where I am in the process. And that's been, it's been a year since that post, and a year since my father's comment to me.
If you love that person,
But it,
hopefully you would entertain that.
sorry about that. But it just lets you know that, the issues that are there, and how these issues play out in our relationships, in our closest relationships. And sometimes we have to cut those people off. But I don't want to just cut him off and that's it, and I just go on and move on about my business. No, I'm going to write about and process my experiences, and in an effort to bring light to understand my own experiences, to heal from my own experiences, and then hopefully help someone else do the same thing. So anyway, that's where I am now. And yeah. But anyway, I just want to thank you guys again. You guys know that we reached um, international best-selling author status. We got to that number one position, and I know we're gonna be back there, even though, once I get in a position, I actually hold the status, forever. Um, Amazon bestseller, and yeah, so it's just like, hey. But I still want to get back there. I still want us to either keep that number one slot, keep going back to it. Books are released every single day. It's a lot of books released. And so um, as long as I have held, reached that number one position, it doesn't really matter how long I kept it or anything like that. It just, I reached the position. So that's what matters. But but yeah, I could totally see us reaching that position with the rest of the books in the series, and so that's what we're going for. It's like, why not reach, a level of excellence, even in, our mission to expose religious narcissism and bring light to spiritual abuse, let's still let's reach for the highest heights with it. And so that's where I am. It's like I just have that spirit of excellence that, even with this project, even if it's just for me, I still want it to be excellent, and I still want people to be to benefit from it and be blessed by it. So anyway, y'all go get the book. It's in the description, and so is the link to my mailing list. Like I said, go ahead and sign up for my mailing list, and then I will definitely send you alerts when major things happen, like when the paperback book comes out, then I'll definitely let you know. Yeah. And of course, you guys know I will never spam you. I am the boundary queen. I will never violate your boundaries and be sending you crazy stuff. Y'all already know that. But you still have the option to opt out if you desire to. So if you have already signed up for my mailing list, then go ahead and opt into your text message alerts. And if you're more of an email type of person, then just make sure that you're giving me the email that you check regularly. I think a few people missed their links for the free download, and it was only for a certain amount of time, you guys. It was a promo so that we could reach that status, the bestseller status. So once we reached it, it was really no need. It's really no need to keep giving the book for free. But anyway, it was only for a limited time. So you guys have to make sure that whenever there's a promo or something like that, that you can, make sure you get in on it immediately. So go ahead and opt into my text message alerts, and make sure you give me a really good email for you. Okay. Let me see. Is there anything else I wanted to tell you guys? Anyway, like and share the video, subscribe, make sure you turn on the notifications so that you are alerted anytime I go live and anytime I post a new video. So hey, let's go out to Chandrell again, because okay, that's my girl. She got the vocals and everything, honey. Okay, so I love you guys. Bye bye for now. And again, this is Chandrell with Save Yourself.
Blunt objects, short tongue revelry. A gun for your rose, press knuckles for your nose, middle finger for your third degree. Why you care? I don't care. Get the fuck away from me. Cast a spell, burn in hell. That's what you get for loving me. And don't care no more. There is nothing that you can do, and I tried to warn you. Don't go and tear yourself apart, looking for my heart and never gonna find it. Don't go and break your little brain, drive yourself insane, you'll never understand it. Don't go and tear yourself apart, looking for dried up bones, barren wasteland. You must be some kind of crazy. Ain't no woman beast hold hands. And you won't suck at me, cause I am sucker free. Never falling for another man. A black witch spell, a poison cocktail. You never gonna love me. And don't care no more. There is nothing that you tried to warn you. Don't go and tear yourself apart, looking for my heart and never gonna find it. Don't go and break your little brain, drive yourself insane, you'll never understand it. Don't go and tear yourself apart, looking for my heart, you're never gonna find it. Don't go and break your little brain, drive yourself insane with me. Save yourself, 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 save yourself. Your pain and misery, trying to love me. Your pain and misery, trying to love me. Don't go and tear yourself apart, looking for my heart and never gonna find it. Don't go and break your little brain, drive yourself insane, you'll never understand it. Don't go and tear yourself apart, looking for my heart, you're never gonna find it. Don't go and break your little brain, drive yourself insane with me. Save yourself.
The commandment of the Lord, we will see him after a while. I love you. Bye-bye for now.